Welcome back to the Instant Fame. Let's take a journey through music, truth, and the voices that shaped history in ways we don't always talk about. It was about the final roar of an old lion before silence took over. Ray Charles left behind no love songs, no will, just a list of names that had filled him with fury, names that made him want to stand up and scream at the entire entertainment industry. To him, Elvis was just a spotlight, bright but hollow. Then there was Kenny G, who said made music for hotel lobbies, and 8 others he called puppets pulled from record label zippers. Music wasn't just sound to him, it was truth. And before he left, he used that truth to call out the names he could never accept. This isn't a story for those who dream without seeing. It's a list of the names he couldn't stand and the reasons might make you question everything you thought you knew about music. Los Angeles, October 2002. A small studio on Sunset Boulevard felt like it existed outside of time. He sat quietly in his usual wooden chair, eyes closed, not to feel the music this time, but to hold back words that weighed too much. A camera rolled, its red light glowing, and then came the question, simple but heavy. What do you think of Elvis Presley? No laugh, no smile, just a slow shake of his head and a whisper. Don't ask me about Elvis. All he did was take our music and make money from it. Elvis had been gone for years, but his shadow never left Ray Charles. Or rather, it never left the black artists who built the foundation of what he became famous for. To the world, Elvis was the king. To Ray Charles, he wasn't a king, just the first to walk through a door others had opened, wearing a crown made from voices no one bothered to name. Ray Charles never denied his talent, but he knew what it was like to sing gospel in churches, to play R&B in clubs where he wasn't welcome, to hear his records called too black for the radio. Then a young white man from Mississippi took that same sound, that same rhythm, and the world called him revolutionary. He didn't steal anything, Ray Charles once said in an interview no one aired, but people stole from us to give it to him. Ray Charles never attacked Elvis directly, but he never forgave what he stood for, a system where the creators had to wait for someone else to make their music acceptable. Backstage, they said he once refused to share a stage with him, not out of pride, but because he wouldn't help blur the truth. Their story wasn't about two people. It was about who gets remembered and who gets erased. To Ray Charles, Elvis didn't have to do anything wrong to earn his disappointment. He just had to exist in a world that only listened when the voice was the right color. The question lingers. Is it fair when a voice is called revolutionary just because it comes from the right lips? Pat Boone, he never said his name outright, just called him that white boy singing it back. Every time his voice came on the radio, smooth, perfect, empty. Ray Charles turned it off. The silence was his protest. To Ray Charles, Boone wasn't a thief. He was proof that the game was rigged. Why did the same song only count as music when it left black hands? In the 1950s, Ray Charles was playing piano in bars while Boone stood on TV in a white suit, singing songs he knew from the black artists who wrote them. Tutti Frutti, Ain't That a Shame, Long Tall Sally. He didn't write them, he didn't live them, but he was paid to clean them up, to make them safe for white living rooms, rooms he'd never be invited into. Ray Charles once laughed hearing Boone's version of Ain't That a Shame, not because it was bad, but because it had no soul. He sings like he's reading a grocery list, she muttered. What hurt wasn't Boone himself, it was the system. Fats Domino wrote that song, but radio wouldn't play his version. Boone's? They couldn't get enough. At an event honoring black musicians in 1983, Boone showed up unannounced. He shook hands, smiled for cameras. When he reached Ray Charles, he turned away. Someone asked, "You don't like Pat Boone?" "I don't know him," Ray Charles said. "I just know his voice played instead of my friends." Ray Charles didn't hate Boone. He hated that he was allowed when others weren't. He didn't make the rules, he just won the game. Ray Charles didn't want his fame. He just wanted people to stop pretending it was fair. Boone is still here. His records still sell. But if you listen close, you'll hear what's missing. Not wrong notes, just the weight of a story he never lived. Michael Bolton. "That boy sings like he's wearing my skin," Ray Charles whispered at a press conference in 1993. He didn't yell. He said it like it was a fact she wished wasn't true. That year, Bolton was everywhere, the king of heartbreak songs, the man who brought soul back. He sang with orchestras, won Grammys, got praised for the same raw emotion that, when she did it years before, was called too much. The irony. When Ray Charles poured his soul into a song, they said it was too black. When Bolton did it, they called it genius. That was the knife twist. No one had to say it, the difference was in the skin, not the sound. Backstage at an awards show, Ray Charles was asked to perform with the new stars. Bolton stood nearby. When the host talked about artists carrying on his legacy, the camera went to him first. Ray Charles turned away. He smiled, but inside, something broke. How do you inherit a life you never lived? Ray Charles wrote in his notebook that night. To him, a voice wasn't just notes. It was every club that turned her away, every radio station that said no, every tear her mother shed when she went blind but still learned to play piano by ear. Bolton didn't live that. He just sang it, and he sang it well. When asked if it bothered him to hear him imitate him, Ray Charles said, "I'm not mad he took my voice. I'm mad they gave it a new name." That was the wound. Not Bolton the way the world acted like he invented what he'd bled for. They didn't push him up. They just let him fade. After hearing him sing Georgia on My Mind, Ray Charles was quiet a long time. Then softly, he's singing the words, but he's not carrying the weight. Ray Charles wasn't jealous. She remembered fighting for every note while someone else got applause for singing them back. No one called it stealing, but he knew it wasn't fair. Michael Bolton did nothing wrong, but neither did he. And that was the problem. Kenny G. Not every fight is loud. Some burn quiet in artists who still believe music should mean something. To Ray Charles, Kenny G was proof that the fire was going out. At a party in New York in 1999, surrounded by jazz legends, Ray Charles was asked to speak. He leaned on his cane, dark glasses hiding his eyes, and dropped a bomb. If Charlie Parker came back and heard the radio today, he'd throw his sax in the river. People laughed. Ray Charles didn't. When asked about it later, he said, "Jazz isn't background music for fancy dinners. Jazz is supposed to make you feel alive." He never said Kenny G's name, but everyone knew. To Ray Charles, his music was too perfect. No grit, no sweat, no soul, just smooth notes floating past like they were afraid to leave a mark. He doesn't break rules, Ray Charles told a friend. He just makes everything easier. That was what hurt. A generation would grow up thinking jazz was polite, pretty, safe. They'd never know the chaos of Thelonious Monk, the pain in Billie Holiday's voice. Once, in an interview near the end, someone asked if he listened to Kenny G. He smiled. "I put it on when I want to forget who I am." Not because he wasn't talented, but because music, to her, wasn't about perfection. It was about the cracks, the flaws, the things that made it human. If a song leaves you comfortable, he believed, then maybe it's not jazz. At least, not the kind he fought for. So there it is. Not hate, just a refusal to pretend. Ray Charles didn't tear others down. He just remembered what too many forgot. Music isn't a product. It's a piece of someone's soul, and maybe in the end, he didn't hate any of them. Ray Charles just couldn't forgive the world for forgetting. If this story means something to you, leave a comment, share it, keep the conversation alive. Because real music never dies, it just waits for us to listen.